Hello, everyone. This is Daniel Gindis, and I'm happy to be here with David Miles. We are the
Hello.
co-founders of Wisemee.com, an online MUN resource for MUN and other related disciplines. And today, to celebrate this unique opportunity, we're going to have a workshop on writing a great MUN opening speech.
I'm
All right, so
excited.
you should be excited.
Yeah.
This is one of our most viewed articles is how to write an opening speech, which actually works. I can say for myself, I found a whole bunch of different formulas in my time as an MUNer, and some of them definitely worked better than others. So the goal, yeah, David, you're
Yeah.
making a
No.
face.
This formula saved me. Wow, so many times. Because once you get it down, then everything else is simple. It's find the pieces of information. It's like,
Exactly. I agree. I've used it myself. I've used it in committees of 15. I've used it in 400. It gets the message through. And it's also a guide for us to stay relevant and to be on topic. And both David and I have delegated numerous times and shared numerous times. And to hear delegates whose speech basically repeats the problem with lots of facts, that's not the direction to go. It's a great way to repeat the study guide, but it doesn't really help. So we're going to jump right into it, and the goal of today is really in the next little bit give us some actionable steps that we can use to write a great MUN speech. By the way, this formula is in no way limited to Model UN. One of my MUN University students a number of years ago, his mother was a vice president, or might still be, in a pharmaceutical chain. And this 22-year-old student wrote her keynote speech, a 7-minute speech using this formula. And it was the best speech, she said. Everyone complimented her, the best speech in this 2-day pharmaceutical conference. So what we're learning here is not just limited to MUN. It's something which can be really useful for other things beyond MUN as well. All right, so I'm Daniel, this is David. Let's jump into learning about how to write a great MUN opening speech. So today in this short workshop, we're going to learn how to write a great MUN opening speech. For that, just quick review for those of you who are newer to Model UN. What is Model UN? Model UN is working together to solve global issues. That's what it is in a nutshell. There is a process. First, you research a topic, then you speak about it, first with your opening speech and then with other speeches. You form a group of like-minded countries, you write down your ideas, and then you vote on them. So this opening speech, what myself and Dave are going to talk about right now, is your first impression, the first time you talk in front of the committee, and how that impacts. I guess jumping right into it, speeches for MUN, the opening speech is how we make our first impression, show we researched, have good ideas, and to our peers show that we're a good country to work with. Okay. Dave, you want to add something here?
Yeah. If we go back to the other slide with the flow and just kind of reiterate that we do our research first and then we speak. Research, speak. So many others actually go and they say, okay, I'm just going to speak. And then they go back and do their research. And Daniel already started talking about first impression. People remember the beginning and the end of every interaction. What am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say that your first impression is extremely important. And why am I talking about the last interaction? Because the last interaction is when you vote on whatever you wrote down. If whatever you opened up with, as long as you've got some good ideas, does not get into the resolution, what happened? Where did you go wrong? If you did your research and you have your right, appropriate opening statement, opening speech, then in many cases, as long as you got a good one and you got the middle ground set up properly and you follow the rules we're about to teach you, there's a high probability that you're going to be able to translate your opening speech into the resolution, which that's the end goal at the end of the day. You don't want to walk in and say, I look forward to talking with everyone and having a great
I look forward
discussion.
to a comprehensive plan and having a fruitful discussion.
Yeah.
Like you want to get the specifics. People want to know what you think about the issue.
Don't
Everything
tell
else
them
is
anything
window
yet,
dressing.
Daniel. Don't tell
Okay.
them. Don't spoil the goods. But what I can tell you is we're talking about our first impression. If the first impression says, I want to talk with you and I have a plan, it says nothing. Your chairs and everyone around you are looking for leaders, looking for ideas. And we're going to show you how to give that idea. We're not going to talk about the research. You better do some.
We have a great article on that on wisemee.com, how to research. You can find it there. This is not about
we've got guides on everything, trust me. So we got guides on research, we got guides on how to build a coalition, how to write a resolution, the whole 9 yards.
Amendments, what to do when you're in a
here we're just going to talk about that formula, that special formula, which we'll never say until we say it, because it's a fun one.
Although if you've seen any of our opening speech guides or any of our speech guides, you've seen it already.
It's top secret. Maybe part of one of those 3-letter
top secret until you
top
Google
secret places.
Speech Wisemee, very secret.
Okay, Daniel, so back to you. Sorry.
Let's get back to, okay. So the opening speech, we stand up and we make our first impression to the committee. This is a very important point in Model UN. How do you make sure your opening speech hits the mark and doesn't do what Dave just described, where someone says, Honorable Chair, distinguished delegate, Uganda has solutions to the problems. We're happy to share them and we look forward to fruitful discussion. What is it?
You said I. Don't do that.
Okay, noted. We, the delegation of Uganda. And that's what it is. Lack of specifics is very bad for first impression. It makes it seem like you don't know what you're talking about. So how do we ensure that we know what we're talking about and our thinking is policy oriented and we're working on solutions, which is what everyone wants to hear, our opinion on the topic. So the formula for MUN opening speeches is the CIA speech writing formula, which stands for the following: clash, information, action. So it's not the
I got to stop there, right there. CIA, write that down. This is extremely important. You can write down CIA, top secret. Every single time I write an opening speech till this day, I write CIA, and then I fill in the blanks. This, if that's all you learned, stop this video right now, walk away, run home and say, do I have a clash? Do I have information? Do I have action? Everything else, it's okay if you skip. As long as you learned that point without having these 3 points in your opening speech, we'll show you why it's not going to be the same.
So to support exactly what David's saying, like there's one thing to take. Everything besides this is a really nice bonus, but it is not what the speech is about. Now, I want to go through lengths because some people understand the idea of clash and that, not everyone can agree and the whole theory of it, but sometimes think it should be an entire paragraph. So at the minimum, for an MUN speech, this is what you're working with. Clash should be 1 line. If your clash is more than 1 sentence, something isn't right. Information, keep it tight, keep it focused. And your call to action of how you're going to do it, which we're going to get to very shortly. Again, 3 lines, maybe more. And you want to get to it as fast as possible. Don't think of your opening speech like a movie where you have a 4-minute monologue and you're going to give what you're going to do as the last sentence. Your audience is gone. They're not listening anymore. You need to go straight for what people want to hear. And you want to ideally get to your call to action in the middle of your speech. And your clash should be your first line. I used to give longer introductions. And as a chair, I find it hard to listen when delegates would give long introductions, repeating the problem that I wrote in the study guide. People want to know what your country wants to do, what you support and what you don't. And that's what the clash is. It's what we want to do in 1 sentence. So what is a clash? A clash is a statement expressing what you want to do. A statement in the English language is a definite, clear expression of something in speech or writing. Statements give a positive or negative context. Your clash needs to show a clear opinion of what you want to do. We will send the food aid. We will not send peacekeepers anymore. We believe in, increasing the amount of doctors or reducing the amount of doctors in, a certain place. This is what it is. So a clash is one sentence saying what you want to do. There are 3 clash rules that we add along with this. So it's a statement, one sentence, what you want to do, which also needs to do the following. 1, offer a clear, specific course of action on the topic in MUN. If you are not specific, you're vague. We want to help, heal people from the virus. There are many ways to do it. You can lock them in their homes. You can invent a cure. You can, tie them to banana trees until the virus passes, not them walk around. Not the best idea, but until you make it specific, it's open to interpretation and doesn't mean as much. Secondly, you cannot have 100% agreement. 100% agreement, that's called off clash. That means it's not something that anyone is going to discuss, try to find solutions for. If everyone agrees with what you say, no one will talk about it. No one is going to address it. No one is going to keep your idea alive. The whole point is to move beyond what exists today. And if everyone agrees, then no one has a problem with it. So you're either creating something very watered down or very off topic. But 3, we're not looking to be antagonists. We're not looking to say something so controversial everyone jumps on us. Your clash needs to potentially be able to get a majority, 50% plus 1. That's what you need. So if your clash is one sentence with a specific course of action of what you want to do that at least one country doesn't agree with and could potentially get a majority. David, as someone who's used this many, many times, you want to add something before we move on?
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. It's about, it's all about getting people to relate to it. And I think some of the examples you used to bring up is even if you said your favorite color, okay, many people, I'm going to make a generalization and say many men might like blue and women might like pink, and that's a very big generalization. But it's not that it's a right or wrong, but if you were to go with only something very neutral, then you run the of just being either boring because no one cares. I like white. White could be actually I think it's the abstract of all colors, or black is one of the abstract of all colors, which without adding any element to it, no one's really going to agree with it and or disagree with it. So if it goes both ways, then you went no way, because you can't win MUN alone. It's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah. So looking at what David says here, the idea is let's heal COVID-19. But the clash is let's vaccinate all the doctors first. If I say let's heal COVID, I'm not being specific. I'm not being specific. And no one is going to say that it's a bad idea. At the same time, it also doesn't give me much to work with because it's so general that no one will disagree just because it doesn't mean anything. But if I am looking to vaccinate doctors first, before people with potentially more dangerous physiological conditions, or older people, or people in the financial sector. This is me saying clearly this is something that I want to do. Is it a clear course of specific action?
Or people that want it. There are so many ways of building it out, because and I'm just saying this based off because we're living through it right now, is you don't need to be in that box. If you're at one of the beauties of MUN, I remember back in the day, and Daniel, you're the one that got me onto this topic of Coca-Cola versus Pepsi, and then every once in a while, there's someone that's smart that, well, I love to mix them. Okay, and we should really have a mixture of them all. And I find that actually disgusting, just even presenting it as an idea. But there are those types of people that want to mix it around, or giving them the choice. And most times people won't even agree with that. They won't hop on board. Do your research, which goes back to doing your research. Okay, even though on a blind taste test, most people like Pepsi, they'll still go for Coca-Cola. because of their true loyalty. So the same thing goes with the vaccines as an example, is it might not even be an idea of who takes it, but if they want it and how they want it and how to provide, like this all goes back into the clash. Daniel is bringing up a clash, an example of vaccinate X population first, and then the information is going to back that, and then the action is going to show how we're actually going to do it.
Right. It's one example for one topic, which, as David is saying, is like we can take these in many different directions. Just one example to show the thing topical and in the news of how we can work with this. Okay, so clash is something which someone will not agree with, but hopefully can get a majority. And it's something specific. Now, this is different from off clash. Off clash means it's not debatable. So some examples of off clash are COVID-19 is a terrible virus. No one is going to say that it's a good thing. No one's going to say the world is overpopulated. Great that we have viruses. That's not going to happen. And something I do with students, I say, earthquake. Imagine an earthquake. What do you see? And people tell me, buried by buildings, no houses, all these different problems. It's quite an intelligent group of people that we have here. And with our intelligent audience, we don't need to bring statistics about the damage. There was an earthquake, we know people are in trouble. MUN about an earthquake, do not repeat the problem. There's one of the things to say, nuclear war is a horrible thing. If we're discussing nuclear proliferation as our topic, to repeat that, the atom bomb is terrible and nuclear weapons can harm people, we know that. Go for what people don't know. Go for something new. And this is this point where these off-clash examples is very much something which we can see, which is different. COVID is a terrible virus is off-clash. We should vaccinate doctors first or endanger populations first is something we can debate. People buried by the earthquake are in danger. There was an earthquake in, the Dominican Republic, or, in Myanmar or in Canada. What do? So people buried by the earthquake are in danger. Earthquakes are dangerous. That doesn't help us. But if we say the earthquake victim, my clash as earthquake victims who are trapped should have limbs quickly amputated. Think a different response. Like people are buried underneath them. We need to get to them now, even if it means some people need to be moved and not the best way for them. Oxygen could run out. What are we going to do? That already elicits a much stronger response with other people because we're going specific. We're going for something which is able to give that level of detail. You
brought it up as to do with eliciting the response, and we're not telling them exactly what to do. And in marketing, we might call it like a pattern interrupt. Oh, it changed it. Okay, just saying, you saw it. Now, there are a lot of things you could say, but this goes back to the research. Make sure you say something that's sensible. And then we're going to back up what we're going to say with the information. And then the action needs to be connected back to it. But this is the pattern interrupt. Stop them. Make them actually interested in it.
Exactly. So your clash needs to be something that people will respond to. It's what you want to do that meets the criteria and the clash rules. So moving on to information, exactly what David said, this is hard facts. Like do not generalize names, numbers, dates. Hard facts show that what we're saying exists in the real world and is not just an opinion.
Yeah, because 62% of all statistics are made up on the spot. 66. I know, I just made that up. But, the point is, how many times, Daniel, have you gone to an MUN? You're like, someone throws out the statistic, you actually Google it and find out that it's totally false.
I mean, I try to not go through that too often by encouraging people to do their research. That's just me.
Yeah. Many people actually think that most people did their research, so you'll get away with it to a certain degree if you say it with enough conviction. We're not here to teach you how to not do your research. Do your research because that will back it up tenfold. Because doing your research says, you don't have to trust me on this matter. Dr. So-and-so said so, and he's a doctor. You're no doctor, you're a politician. So this is where the information, where Daniel says hard facts, and he put it in bold because it's hard to say that doesn't exist, or using names, numbers, and dates. On so and so date, this happened, okay, or this many people died, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, so what David's saying also about the hard facts and numbers is very important, that we want to use, first of all, don't use round numbers, don't route it out, don't be approximate, be specific. Specific shows research. Use the names, don't say South Africa's president, say Cyril Ramaphosa. Don't say, many people, hundreds were hit by the earthquake. Don't say it's a 20% increase on the last time, because we don't know percentages. Tie it to something real. Yeah. Say 9,200 people were injured, 312 were buried, and 26,212 were left homeless.
Did you hear how Daniel said that? 320 people buried. We're not going to talk about it during the course of this training, but a large percentage is how you say it. Even if you have the statistics, and I'll show you right now, if you stand there, 326 people buried, and Dr. Jack Nabowski believes that it is something or other. Blah, 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 blah. You can have all of your facts. If you don't say it with conviction, everything else is going down the drain. So it's also about presentation, which unfortunately we don't have the time to address it.
Yeah, this is a hard what to write in your speech. This is not a how to present what to say.
That's right. But I needed to I felt the need to say that because you presented it so well. Those numbers, I believed them.
Well, thank you. I run an MUN website with some people, so we're kind of supposed to know how to do that. Okay, so with information and hard facts, let's look at it as an example. No information is we will give the first COVID-19 vaccines to doctors and hospitals. Okay, that's great. That's a well-meaning thing. It's not specific. And if right now I'm taking an example of how I want to make a difference in the United States as an example. So we will give the first available dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine to the 24,643 doctors in the 125 general hospitals in Minnesota. Okay? This is not, we're going to help doctors somewhere, somehow. It's how many doctors in how many hospitals and where. This is the same piece, the same sentence, but one with information, exactly what we're going to give to how many people, where versus not. So that's information. Whatever it is, I recommend using numbers, not round numbers, and specific names, and have a sentence or two of information that either supports your class or supports your call to action. That's what's coming next. So that's the I of CIA. Use numbers. That ensures you do research. And like David said, it shows that what you're saying exists in the real world, that you're backing it up with something. You're not just making it up. And there's so much information out there. Today, in the day of the internet, you can find numbers on lots of things. Just need to look for a little bit. We're now going to move on to action. How to solve the problem. And this is a part where if we get clashed, like, oh, I'm being specific on what I want to do. And now I brought some facts. I'm ready to go. No, we're still missing the details of how you're going to do it. So a call to action is a smart, practical solution to solve the issue that you're discussing. For example, who should get the vaccine first? Doctors, older people, the financial sector. David's a really big fan of SMART. I think you've used it more times as a guide than I have. Why don't you tell us a little bit about SMART?
Yeah, well, this is a very well-known acronym.
Yeah, we didn't make this up, by the way.
No. Just it's funny that you say we didn't make this up. If we really wanted to talk about CIA even more and reinforce that same idea, we would tell you exactly who created it and how they created it, and you don't have to believe us. This is the same thing everyone else is using, because we're here to say
we didn't research who
we don't need to be the experts, even though in this point in time we can turn around and say we are the experts. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that we're being quoted when other people are teaching at MUN. There was once or twice that we ran into that, and I'm not going to get into that story at this point in time. Let's go back to SMART. Be specific. you have to bring up a specific item, like whatever it may be. It should be measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Here, we're usually talking about the action item. Be specific on what you want to do. How are you going to measure it when you do it? You know, is it truly attainable? And Daniel lost the screen. Okay. Is it relevant to the topic? You know, you can have something else that's smart and totally irrelevant. And timely. When are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? You know, when is it going to start? When is it going to stop? It doesn't need to be a whole 10-point plan of, oh, we're going to start on this year and end on that. No, but that's why we always say in every single resolution that we are going to revisit this and reassess it and reevaluate it and come back to it at a later date. And there's a term for it. Daniel, remind me, it's on the tip of my tongue. At the end of every single resolution, that we will stay. We will stay informed on the matter, or whatever it may be.
Remain seized on the matter.
Yeah, okay. Where they always say, well, this is a good example of not being timely. That's just saying, oh, we'll
revisit this issue at some point.
Okay.
In the future,
so here you really want to put it more into action. If you're talking about an earthquake, or if you're talking about a vaccine, is when you're going to start, how you're going to do it, how you're going to roll it out, and what those stages are going to actually look like.
All right. So let's with that incredible introduction, very well delivered, let's look at a SMART plan, because theoretically, if we're looking to give vaccines to doctors in Minnesota, who's to say that, you know, let's say David will move to Minnesota, sit, you know, on the state border and vaccinate every single doctor who will drive to where he is sitting with his big coat and his ice shoes to do that. And why not? Just because we decide to vaccinate the doctors first doesn't mean that David shouldn't be flown to Minnesota to administer the vaccine. We never said otherwise. This is why saying how is so important. Someone else can steal your clash. Say we support your general direction, but our policy and our breakdown with our details are the way to do it. So now let's look at an example of a SMART plan to see what can be done here. So here, divide the 24,643 COVID-19 vaccines between the 125 hospitals in Minnesota. A quarter of the hospital staff will be vaccinated each week. And in 2 months, all the doctors in Minnesota will have been vaccinated. So see here that in 3 steps, dividing the vaccines to the hospitals, a quarter of staff vaccinated each week, maybe for side effects, and in 2 months, all the doctors have been vaccinated.
Easy to remember and simple to go through, and 3 steps. And I just want to reiterate, you don't need to give all of the information right off the bat. Some of you might be thinking, you know, and since this isn't live, I'm just going to play devil's advocate here saying, oh, that's not possible because not everyone had deep freezers in order to actually facilitate these vaccines, and they go bad after X amount of time. No, that's not the main point. It's bringing the idea and bringing it into something that people can actually remember and conceptualize. Only afterwards do you have to refine that even more. Sorry, back to you.
Exactly. So no, that's absolutely right. So if we look at it, is this plan SMART? Is it specific? Going to the hospitals, 125 hospitals, and dividing between them, is that specific? Yes. Can we measure if people got the vaccine or not? We can measure that. Is it attainable? Well, it wasn't, you know, at some point, but now the vaccines exist. Is it relevant? Yes, because COVID still exists. And is it timely? Yeah, if people are in danger, this is relevant right now. So these 3 lines, how you're doing it, your policy could be 4 lines, could be 5 lines on how, but it doesn't need to be too long. It's something which you can do in a pretty short amount of time and convey it pretty clearly. So before we get to an example speech to see how all of this comes together, I want to reiterate how we're doing it is so important. It is important because a call to action needs detailed instructions, because it's for UN bureaucrats who aren't there for the discussion of why we're doing this. The UN bureaucrats, their job is to carry out the courses of action. It's not give the food aid to a poor country, you know, which needs the aid, specify, say who is going to get it. Say it's going to go to Somalia, say it's going to go to South Sudan, say it's going to go to France, but like be specific as to where it's going to go. You can leave things open-ended. These are instructions to teams whose job it is to carry these things out. All right, so let's take a look at how what we've learned CIA would look in a speech, and I will read. Distinguished delegates. By the way, but actually, just before we jump into the speech, we should remember that in Model UN we have you know, our MUN terminology. So within your speech, while you're supposed to start with a clash, beforehand there's like the formal sentence of honorable chair, distinguished delegates, or distinguished delegates, which we have. So with that opening in mind, let's hear our speech. So, distinguished delegates, we should vaccinate all doctors first. Clash. This is achievable. The United States has millions of doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, and we can specifically designate 24,643 shots to the doctors in the 125 general hospitals in Minnesota. Our plan is to divide the 24,643 COVID-19 vaccine shots between the 125 general hospitals in Minnesota. Once there, a quarter of the hospital staff will be vaccinated each week over the span of 2 months to ensure everyone gets their dose. Let's work quickly to protect those who protect us and make sure all medical staff get vaccinated today. How many words is this? If we count CIA in 94 words, 94 words.
That's
Not
amazing.
100 words, not 120 words, 94 words.
Yeah, and I want to reinforce that point. First off, this is an example speech. It has nothing to do with, no one's going to come in and say, how are we going to vaccinate Minnesota or anything like that. It's just to bring in the examples. And second off, Daniel talked about 94 words. 94 words. It is easier to write more and harder to write less.
Exactly.
So many people, and this is another thing, if you go into any beginner conference, you're going to have two different types of opening speeches. Those that come in and run out of time and still said absolutely nothing, or those that stand up and say absolutely nothing, run out of things to say, and yield their time back to the chair.
After 20 seconds.
Don't be either of those. Build out your speech. Know how much time you have to speak. Do your research, which we're not talking about here, and we got guides on Wisemee on how to do that research to prepare your speech. Write down the letters CIA before you even write your speech and fill in the blanks. Take those pieces. If you follow our methodology on also how to do research, we show you how to get those numbers and how to utilize them within your speech. We marry those two elements together. They need to work in synergy. They need to work together.
But when you have a CIA speech formula, you know what you're researching and working towards. 1 sentence of what you want to do, 2 sentences on information, and then 3+ on how you're going to do it. And if you have more time, great. I've seen many great speeches that cover these, get the essential information out, and bring even more useful information that strengthens the speech and the position. If we look at the speech highlighted here, we see, first of all, clash. We should vaccinate all doctors first. 2 sentences that have unique specific numbers, which we understand. We say, oh, someone researched how many doctors there are in the state of Minnesota and how many general hospitals. Then we see the plan, which takes 3 sentences, which could be longer, take 4, but that's how we're going to do it. And it's quite detailed. And then finally, this is a soundbite. Let's work quickly to protect those who protect us. This is really impressive. This is a very tight and clear CIA speech. We understand what they want to do and how they want to do it and how it's meant to work. So to sum up and review, we've learned how to write an MUN opening speech with a quantifiable, accessible, and achievable system to do so. Clash, information, action. Clash is 1 line, information is 2 lines. Your call to action is 3+ lines. You want to get those out there. So if other delegates stop paying attention, they're still going to get the main idea of your message and what it is that you're going to say. So that's it for how to write a great MUN opening speech. David and myself use this formula. Many of our friends who are, top achieving MUNers have used this, and I can say I use this formula to get to what's specific and eliminate the irrelevant for presentations I gave for business development, for working in high tech, and so on. So this is a guide to take definitely with us. Thank you for joining us and for being part of this excellent day in presentation. David, you want to say some final words before we wrap up?
Oh, yeah. Learn more at wisemee.com. Best words ever. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. So go check out our guides. This does not work alone. This simply doesn't work alone. If all you do is write down CIA and you're like, here's the clash, here's the action, here's the information. Hey, Daniel, hey, David, why didn't this work? Because if you don't do the research and you don't follow up afterwards, then everything else, don't spend your time doing it. Okay, so you have to start with the research. If you're all you're doing is saying, I need a speech for tomorrow, this might give you some tips on how to write a speech if you have a good study guide. But the main core thing is, if you want to do amazing in MUN, know the topic, know who you're coming up against, and then all of these things are extra techniques of how to do it properly. It's sort of like eating right and not going to the gym and thinking it's going to make you muscle. Without doing, you're just doing one thing right. That's great. Or the other way around. If you do your research and you don't write a speech, and I see this each and every day, every MUN, it doesn't matter, even the most advanced MUNs, you still see people that spend hours, days, weeks, maybe even months doing research, and they can't get their points across. This gives them the tool to do that. Most people do the research. So I think that whoever you are watching this, you did your research. Just take this tool to really, mold that research into something others can stand behind and follow.
Yeah, that's very, very much important that you need to do research. This doesn't come in a vacuum. I also would say be ready to repeat your ideas. As great as your speech is, it takes reinforcement. With advertising, we need to see an ad 7 times, they say, on average, for it to stay in our minds. So don't think your one MUN speech is going to work without repetition and reinforcement. So
talking about repeating myself, I know I repeat myself. So let me go back to where I started. If you learned only one thing from this whole thing, it's CIA. Write that down before you write any speech. It's CIA. CIA, which is the biggest
definitely
secret.
Cannot argue with that. So well presented.
Yeah, CIA. And say those words with conviction, just like Daniel did during the course of this, wonderful training. And ideally, do your research, because if you have it to back it up, that's everything. If you have the perfect speech and you didn't do your research, it's all going to fall apart. I know you guys do your research. Now, hopefully you've got the tools you need to take that research and make something beautiful from it. So go out there. I look forward to seeing the speeches that you write. And if you want to share any of your speeches, email us. Go out and Wisemee, go to contact us. We love hearing from you. Give us your feedback and let us know what we can do for you to make your MUN so much better. And Daniel's gone. So thank you very much. And have a wonderful day.
All right. Well, that was, how long was I gone for?
10 seconds.
10 seconds. All right. So let's, okay. So I guess let's do a summary and,
we're just fine. We're good. Okay, watch the video and everything's going to be great. Thank you very much. If you actually stayed here and watched this at the very, very end, email me personally, david@wisemee.com. That's Wisemee, M-E-E at the very end. And tell me you listened to it. Tell me that you loved it. Tell me you hated it. I don't care. I want to hear from you. I want to
he's
hear
giving
your
you his
feedback. I
personal
love it.
email.
I
if you stay
personally
till the end of
respond to
the
every
show.
email that comes my way, and hopefully I'll have some goodies for you guys, for anyone that takes the time to email me.
All right, excellent. Join us
All right.
at wisemee.com. Keep MUNing. MUN is FUN, which spells fun. It's not an acronym of some kind.
Oh, okay, cool. You lost me there for a moment.
You're like,
okay,
we
so
didn't
there's
write
that call to
something like
action.
that.
Go ahead, wisemee.com, and keep on MUNing.
Keep on MUNing.
Right.
Thank you all for joining
Thanks.
us.
Bye-bye.